Hey guys, Captain Matt here with the Lighting Trade School podcast. Welcome. I'm here with my good friend Glow Daddy, Shane Duffy. Shane, how are you doing, brother?
Capitano, man, I'm good. I'm great. I'm better than great. We're starting our big job. As soon as we jump off this call, we're headed to Dallas, which may be a 5-6 hour drive to start this massive, one-of-a-kind World Book of Guinness Records job.
Yeah, that is so badass. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to hear about it. Can't wait for you to get your certificate from the Guinness Book of World Records. Super awesome. And Nate, the Illuminator.
Yeah, hey, how we doing? Yeah, Shane, that's the Festival of Lights, right? It's going to be world famous here coming up, the Festival of Lights.
Named
Yeah,
it the Glow District.
the
Glow District.
District.
No W.
Oh my God. Festival of Glow Peaks as a fucking district now. Self-proclaimed, right? Why would we expect any less? Didn't you give yourself like the world-winning lighting design award too?
I did.
Printed right on Canva.
Yeah.
Well, as long as you put SP in front of every award you get, which will secretly mean self-proclaimed, then no one can ever bitch at you, right?
Do you make up the award?
A Harvard degree right behind you, Nate?
No, I should actually put a fake fucking degree. Oh my God! So in one of my offices 40 some years ago, I got it at Knott's Berry Farm. For anybody who's heard of Knott's Berry Farm, it's kind of like Disneyland in Southern California. It's pretty famous. Knott's Berry jellies on the shelf of every supermarket in the United States. But anyway, there was this little store in there, and they had like magazines, and they take your picture and put you on the cover of a magazine. And I had my picture taken, and I was on the cover of Time magazine, and the topic was the man, the myth, the legend, right? Tells his own story. And I had it framed really bitchin'. It was in my office. I swear to God, there were so many people that come in and go, "You were on the cover of Time magazine?" I'm like, "You haven't been?" I mean, how fucking stupid you got to be to think I dipshit me is on the cover of Time magazine in some shithole little backdoor office, right?
You could never believe what you see on someone's wall or on the socials.
Yeah,
that's right.
Oh my God, self-proclaimed though. That would be funny. Just SP.
I like it. I think we should have a whole line of those.
But, yeah, that would be funny.
So we're going to jump into some habits today. But before we do that, we'll talk about our sponsor, which is Lifetime Lighting. And Lifetime Lighting has recently dropped the Titan. The Titan is a badass MR11 drop-in fixture. It's great for hardscapes. It's great for all those little spots that maybe a creator, which is their typical spotlight, if you will, their typical bullet light. Super pumped. It's going to be the whole Titan family. So you'll be able to have tree mounts and gutter mounts and surface mounts. And so go check that out at lifetimelightingsystems.com. All right. With that being said, habits. Nate always is yelling about habits, asking the guys who call or want to, grow in landscape lighting, what are the habits you're doing? And so many times I think that can just kind of go over people's heads. In terms of what do you mean? Well, my habit is that, I check my emails, all this. So when you hear it, I always say, well, that's something you have to do, right? I guess that's a habit, but you have to do that for the company to go. What's the habits that you're doing that if you don't do them, your company still goes. But if you do them, your company is going to grow. So that's kind of what we're going to chat about. So between Nate, Shane, what's one thing you do that if you don't do it, that your business is still going to just keep going, but because you do it, that you're going to grow a level.
So before we get into that, I would like to just make a comment and share this, why I think this topic for me was relevant today and how it came up. And it came up because Glow Master Shane Daddy over there, he wanted to talk about stairs and landings, I think, right? And I know I'm one funny motherfucker, but I didn't know stairs and landing was a thing that would make you laugh, right? So I mean, Jesus.
This is a topic for Illuminati.
It is a topic. It
But
is a fucking topic. But
sure.
let me clarify my topic. I think then you're going to retract what you just said and say, by God, Nate, you're right again. So the reason I think this is a good thing, when someone comes up to me, and I don't care if it's an architect, interior designer, homeowner, or Shane, right? And he says, let's how are we gonna light stairs and landings? How the fuck do I know? Right? I do have a crystal ball on my fucking desk. So when people ask me stupid questions, how am I gonna I look into my crystal ball and I say, Crystal ball, how am I gonna light the landing up? And the crystal ball says to me, there are 1,000 ways to light up the landings. What color are they? What's the elevation change? Is it on the street level? It goes up 82 feet to the main residence. Do they have sidewalls? Is it brick? Is it concrete? Is it wood? Does it have railings? Right? What color is it? Right? Does it have an overhang? Does it have a lip? Right? There are so many different variations when it comes to stairs and landings, and maybe it could be. You could argue that maybe it's one of the hardest things to light up when it comes to being a lighting guy because of all the different ways and the structure, right, and the elements around it. So my point with good habits are, right, when I tell you how to do something, it worries me that you take it at heart and it's universal and that's the way it is without knowing there's 1,000 variations. So good habits. You got to start building a documented library, right? You need to go out and take pictures of nighttime jobs with bad lighting, nighttime jobs with good lighting, how people did stairs, in the daytime variations of different scenarios and viewpoints and landings and elevation changes. Is it stairs or do they have landings,
So
right? Because
are you
what's
saying
that?
that a good habit is taking good pictures?
Yeah, I would think everybody should look in the mirror when you're starting to get I think if you're going to become a surgeon in something, you're documenting different things, right? You're looking at books with illustrations and you're looking at previous things to learn from. So if you start building a documentation library of good, bad, daytime and start really analyzing differences like landings. Does it have landings? Does it have a top and bottom landing? Of course it does. Every fucking there's a top and bottom landing. Does it have interim landings? Is there changes? Do you navigate? Does it turn left? Does it turn right? There are so many tricky ways to do stairs, landings, railings, right? So when you can start building your documentation library, which you can now start coming up with your own details, and you can attach these details to future bids, future meetings with interior designers or architects or estate managers. And the more you know, the more you touch, the more your brain gets involved in stair landings, right? It only furthers your education. So yeah, I think that's a good habit to
So I
do.
would take that a step further, right? I would call that habit maybe more always be learning, right?
Isn't that a habit? Always be learning.
Questions. Yeah. I'm just summarizing kind of what you said into a little bite-sized nugget. Always be learning, right? I don't know. Everyone that's listening to this probably is in some form of a landscape lighting Facebook group, and I think you can confuse learning with just scrolling through people's pictures. Oh, that's good. That's good. But I think take it to the level that Nate's at. Why does this guy's picture look bad? Why does it look good? Why do my eyes get drawn to that? Ask, hey, why did you decide to front light those columns? Why'd you side light them? Why'd you backlight them? Maybe ask questions just to better understand and actually try to learn something rather than just mindlessly scrolling. It'd be like, I guess, a really small level, right? I think you should be in some group and learn and have some kind of lighting mentor that could teach you along the way would be the better way to learn.
Yeah, so you can be careful with always be learning, because yes, you should always be learning, but who you're learning from, because we even look at the Illuminati Lounge Club Facebook group, and we just can't be in there all the time looking at all the comments or other manufacturers or suppliers that are giving advice on what to do, and it's nothing at all how we train them to. So always be learning the style of lighting and the or the business, whatever you're learning about, make sure you're learning it from someone that you want to emulate and be like, if you will.
Well,
Yeah.
that old saying, trust but verify, right? Just because that guy that's standing up teaching you thinks he's talking intelligently because he just read it this morning on AI, right? And is regurgitating right? Does he really know what he's talking about, or is he just parroting information? And I'm going to tell you, 98% of the people out there in this industry just parrot, parrot, parrot because they've never done. You know, we always know you were technically in construction, and for you guys that have been in construction, we all know we've always said inspectors inspect because they can't do, right? You have an inspector because you can't do the trade, right? So you just want to be able to fucking go over someone's head and inspect.
That's in
Um,
life, right? I don't ask bad parents on parenting advice. I don't ask broke people financial advice. Family, friends, doesn't matter, right? If
right.
you,
Fat people diet advice,
I
right?
don't know
Well,
that you want to know that
well,
subject.
actually, it's not a bad thought. Ask the fucking guy that went broke. How did you go broke? Okay, don't do that. Don't do this. You could have a whole list of how not to do shit. But think about that. When you go out, look at those lighting jobs. Let's take stairs and landings, right? When you go out there, there's never more glare, I think. Number one problem, right? Or the most, it's like a magnet, right? Where's the number one magnetic draw for glare? I'm gonna tell you stairs, landings, railings, right? Because of elevation changes and different things. People will take a fixture because maybe in that catalog it'll say, "Hey, this is a step light," but it's like a hooded light, and they put it in the riser of a step. And now maybe it looks okay on that sight line, that even plane as far as no elevation, but now you have elevation going up, say 8 or 10 feet. Now you're looking directly into the light bulb. Glare bomb, glare bomb, glare bomb, right? Those louvered step lights that every manufacturer makes, right? The biggest glare bombs in the world. So a lot of times you get misinformation from a catalog because the manufacturers don't even have an idea what the proper placement of their fixtures are, and whether they misrepresent or don't misrepresent, they certainly don't understand the right application. So yeah, it can be tough when you're a rookie, right?
You really took
And,
that stair and step comment to a whole nother level.
well, it's important.
What are some other? I mean, Nate, you're to me and Matt at least, widely successful, right? You've got the goods, you've got more money invested in toys that are rusting in your garage than my entire net worth combined. What what are some habits that you could say for sure, like this has set me apart from anyone else that's not with
and don't mention fucking stairs, okay?
leave stairs
Well, the older you get, you hate fucking stairs. I will tell you that because your knees are shot, which is why, thank God. Hey, we won't talk about elevators because I've never lit an elevator up. But and Shane, just do me a favor. Next time you come out to the house, don't talk about all my rusted, expensive toys in front of my wife. She's really cluely doesn't down there. But I would say some of the good habits for me, and and this is coming prior to internet, phones, electronic notepads, is having notes, right? Keeping a notepad on you. I mean, if I just showed you my stupid desk here, I don't know if I'm doing this correctly or not, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, there's at least 13 different notebooks in front of me that I don't know if you can see the fucking things or
yeah,
not, but
we see it.
um, but so I have lots of notepads around me for specific things, right? Like if it's on, based upon virtual training or whatever, I have a notebook for that. So I keep every idea in there. I have a general notebook. I have so many different notebooks. So I'm always writing different things down and different topics down so I can, right? Like if we said something today and maybe it was a good topic, I can write it down and I can go to that later. And at least I know where it's going, right? And then for me, in notepads, right? For you guys, there's a company called Levenger, and they make different things like this that you can just undo this and stick the page back in it. So there's lots of different mechanical ways to keep notes, right? Besides electronic. And I know you younger guys just say you're an old idiot dinosaur, right? But it works for me, right? And so I think keeping great notes and be able to refer them, right, is a really good habit. Now I got to figure out where I took this from.
So
But
Nate,
yes,
funny you say that, right? That has been a habit, and this wasn't even on the top list of my habits, but I've been doing that for probably 25 years. I only do one notebook, but I found as entrepreneurs, probably you guys listening have the same problem. Sometimes I can't sleep at night. I got all these ideas in my head, right? You got all these ideas swirling around in your head. And by putting them down on a notebook, don't forget to pay this bill. Don't forget to reach out to Miss Gonzalez tomorrow. Whatever it may be, I got to order this for this particular project. By writing it down, it gives your brain permission to forget about it. Otherwise, your brain just kind of wants to keep it in motion so you don't forget. So I love having a notebook. It's my to-do list. I would be lost without it because there's some tasks that I haven't even looked at for a month that I would 100% forget, but don't want to forget. So
yeah, I guess that's a common habit for all three of us then, right? Because I too, I have right now I have 2 notebooks on my desk. I keep a notebook in my man purse. I have a notebook at office desk, on my other desk. I have just stacks of them because one, I also think when you write them down by hand, for me, it sinks in differently than when I type it out.
So the other thing is, I love that what you just said, Shane, the permission to forget. So I have probably 50 to 100 notebooks for the past 20 or 30 years I've never thrown away. And once in a while, I'll go through them, and obviously I'll take old notes and I'll, put them back into a diary. And I pretty much just finished this, and this is an accumulation of, I don't fucking, who knows, 5 years, 10 years. But it's when you go into deep thoughts, right? To where you want to write light papers, and you want to have deep thoughts about maybe it's lighting up a structure or an arbor, and the thought of why you want to light up an arbor and how it changes your world because you transformation from one world into another, and you just start thinking, right? So there's lots of different topics that I have in books, and yeah, I just forgot and I just started this one, right? So for maybe the install side of the infrastructure, the wiring methodology of how you do install, but the permission to forget, boy, do I like that, because we all forget. Now you have the permission to forget because you wrote it down, and you can go back to that book at some point in time. What a great saying! I'm
I
gonna steal
do,
that.
and I know Matt does too. A lot of stuff on record digital. Google Drive is amazing for that, but there are just that daily thing or something that I'm working on. There's something about handwriting it. This is just better for certain things.
Yeah, and I'll have it transcribed sometimes. I'll take a picture of it and get it transcribed. But yeah, it sinks in. And for me, I'm not like, I use digital for, if it's super important that I want to share, definitely going digital. But for me, even it's just easier. I know the phone is super easy, but then I got to open up the right app and all that, other than just grabbing my pen, jotting it down out of my mind. Little stupid, because I think some of the best ideas just go forgotten, right? And I like to look at my old ideas. I also like to if you have a new idea, put it down and then don't act on it. We're all entrepreneurs here. We're all dreamers. It is super easy to get an idea and chase that shit 24/7 the moment you get it, instead of being like, let me give it a couple days and then look at it again with a fresh set of eyes that's not all giggity about and excited about it.
All right. I like that one.
Yeah.
What's another one?
Habits.
Well, yeah.
I'll say a habit here that helps me, and it changed everything for me in terms of waking up and being ready for the day. Is I started with just stretching. I stretched every morning, right? My body just one, it felt better all day, but also just got the blood flowing. Now I'll do little workouts and stretching every morning before I check my email, before I check my phone notifications. That way I get that time to, my mental self waking up, getting the blood flowing. And that has changed everything. I've been doing it for years. And so something simple as stretching every morning can really give you the pep up on all your competition.
So having a morning routine.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think a good habit for me is getting up early. I learned a long time ago that it doesn't matter what business you're in. When that clock hits 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, whatever your daily routine might be, you're dealing with your employees, you're dealing with day-to-day activities, you got meetings, you have little fires that pop up that just pop up, things that have to be done. somebody didn't deliver the material, or the UPS forgot the material. Now you got to scramble and you got to go to Home Depot, whatever the fuck it is, right? You have your day-to-day activities predicated upon the business that you're in. So for me to forward my company, right, was always getting up early. So if I can get 3 or 4 or 5 hours in, right, whether it's between 3 in the morning and 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning, if I can get 3 or 4 or 5 hours in every day, right, it's going to forward my company exponential. So being able to take time uninterrupted, no phone calls, nobody bothering me, time, right? How do I get more time? And to me, time is probably the biggest impedance that you can have to being proficient and making money is time.
Yeah.
Like if I work out of my house, not today, I've got to go to the office, but when I work out of my house and I save an hour a day minimum, depending on traffic, of not having to drive, even though I'm on the fucking phone, I don't give a shit. It's an hour a day. But then I go to the office. Hey, what do you know? Somebody stops in, we bullshit. Somebody else fucking interrupts me. The guys, I got to talk to the guys. Well, there goes 3 to 4 hours out of my fucking day. Wife calls me up. Hey, you're out. Can you stop at the fucking store? Well, there's another fucking half hour. So at the end of the day, I looked and I sit there and I do a mental check. And I said, what the fuck did I even accomplish today? All I did was run around, was busy, but I didn't accomplish anything. So how do you become more efficient with your time?
No, no one listening knows this unless they know you. But Nate wakes up every day, 3:30, 4 o'clock. My best conversations and time to have with Nate and chat about something is like 5:30, 6 a.m. my time, which is 3:30, 4 a.m. Nate's time. He is a morning guy, and I like that. You get more done in the first 3 hours of the day than you do the rest of the day. So the rest of the day is just managing. You're not getting ahead. You're just getting through the day.
Yeah, and I notice he said get up early, right? I do the same thing. You guys that maybe are up early, you can't get up any earlier than you are, and you say, "Oh, I'll do it at night." It's fine, right? You can still carve out that time at night. The problem is most people don't, because typically by the end of the day, you're fucking fried, right? Your best brain power. I always say your best brain power, like I try to use before all the guys get in, before the guys start calling me, so that I'm not wasting all that. The best is what I call it for me. Mental energy answering stupid questions, and they're not stupid in terms of whatever, but I can answer them while I'm sleeping type of questions, right? So, that's why he's saying one of the reasons we say the morning is because you don't have all the day's stresses that you've already gone through, and it's super easy to be like, I've done a good job today. I'm going to crack open a cold one and sit on the couch instead of working 2 hours in my business. Super easy to fall into that trap at nighttime because you've already accomplished so much for the day.
Yeah.
I think reflecting, when you want to reflect at the end of the day or the end of the week, when, I talk to guys about this all the time about, when you're the owner of the company, you really, I don't care what business you're in, right? You're selling something, right? Whether it be a product or a lighting job or a roof or, right, concrete because you're a paving guy, whatever. You're really a sales guy. So at the end of the week, and you're really a sales guy that's doing other shit, right? But if you're actively involved in generating the revenue to the company at the end of the week, how many times did you put yourself in a position to be face to face with a client, right? Getting that contract signed. And, so when you think about it, probably it's 2, 3, 4 hours max, more than likely. So what the fuck did you do the other 40 or 50 hours or 60 hours, right? And then you realize the amount of time that you wasted, because, unwasted time can never come back, and it generates, the health of the company, because the health of the company is all predicated upon income and, right, money. So it's the amount of time wasted. And when you look at how you waste time before normal shit, because there's always going to be 20 hours that are wasted just because there's just shit that's just stupid. But the amount of time that maybe you didn't pre-qualify a customer, the amount of time that you have bad employees, the amount of time that, you didn't train your employees. So, but when you start self-reflecting and really analyzing and looking at yourself in the mirror about how fucked up your company maybe is or maybe it isn't, it's you. You got to take responsibility of it, right? Some of my best employees, some of the biggest mistakes I ever was taking, especially this happened when I was electrical contractor. I took my best electrician, made him a foreman. Now I have the worst fucking foreman. I lost the best electrician. But my guy, call him Joe Blow. Joe Blow never took responsibility on himself. He always blamed everybody else. It was everybody else's fault. And it's like, no, Joe, you're the one that didn't fucking organize. You're the one that didn't lead them. You're the general on the field here. So it's very difficult to somebody to self-reflect and look at themselves in the mirror and take responsibility, right? So a good habit is taking responsibility and recognizing how fucked up you are and then fixing it.
Yeah, you just talked about, you're always a salesman as an owner. And one of the cool habits I started doing about 2 years ago is if anyone knocks on my door at the home or office, cold calling me in person, I will always take that meeting. And why do I do that? Because I want to see their presentation. I want to learn from them. I want to see the folder they leave. I want to see the paperwork they leave. I want to see the digital presentation. And then I want to see what their follow-up game is. Because there's so many, and I used to never meet with these people. Now I do, even though, I got a new roof, I'll still meet with the roofers or knock on the door because I get, oh, wow, that's a cool folder. Oh, that's a cool technique. And then I see what I can make my own thing better. So it's just one of those habits that is about learning from somebody else. Because if someone's doing door to door, there's something I can learn from them because I do not do door to door. And if you're doing door to door and you're having a company that's profitable, I can learn from you for sure.
Goes back.
Yeah. So I think that's unbelievably smart. And I think, Matt, so let's go into it a little bit deeper because I do the same thing. I think it's incredibly smart. But the other thing I love to do besides is I love to extract some info, ask them pointed questions so I can see how verbally ready they are, how they respond to it. So I can learn on how they respond to pointed questions, right? So I think, yes, that is so fucking smart,
So I wrote down a couple things here, as habits, right? That I don't even realize are habits. I didn't even think of till you guys were saying things. One habit, I'll ask you guys if y'all do the same. I do not listen to the radio or music when I drive. That is like solid time to make phone calls or listen to something where I can learn, my favorite YouTube channel or something to learn. I guess I'll write a couple things. I put that I don't drive anymore. That's not a habit. That's just, making a.
Yes, we get it. You got a Tesla.
My car drives itself, right? Driving is like so 2023. I don't drink or smoke. There's more like not having a bad habit, but I don't unless I'm around y'all too.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't vape or smoke or anything.
Socially. And then another key rule that I've always done is I live on less than I make. When I make a lot of money, I invest a lot of money. I don't spend a lot of money. I don't have a lot of debt. And I like to invest as much as possible. And now we make a lot of money off those investments. So those are some habits I wrote down.
Nice.
So I think I'm with you, Shane. I don't listen to the radio when I drive. I always have these spiral little notebooks like this. So this is a good traveling notebook. So I can make tons of who am I going to call? What am I going to do? Right. Typically every day I have a new sheet, and when I can take this, it's super handy and small. I can make notes in the car, but these are the people I'm going to be calling when I drive. It goes in my briefcase. So I'm always have an activity call sheet of who I'm going to fucking call. And I have tons of people on that fucking list, right? Because there's always people that you play phone tag with and, out of sight, out of mind, right? But if it's on my list, I don't have the permission to forget because I just look at my fucking list and I can flip back fucking pages, right? Because I never cut anything off. So I can always remember, right? Somebody that called me 2 weeks ago and we played phone tag. And it always kind of amazes people fuck, I can't believe you remembered to call me back. It's been 2 fucking weeks.
Yep.
So
Matt, you got sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Nate.
Well, Shane, we'll go ahead. I mean, I'll just finish it. Shane, you and me were talking yesterday about somebody that, voice from the past for me 20 some years ago out of Texas, and you're going to meet with him coincidentally. And our conversation really wrapped around no harm to take a meeting, no harm to open up that door, like Matt said. There's nothing ever bad that comes out of a meeting, right? Networking, further development, stems ideas, right? Thousands of good things come out of fucking meetings. I love meetings in that regard because you don't know what you don't know. So I think that's a good habit to always be, right, trying to, plant seeds and fertilize and see if that fucking thing has any roots and starts growing.
I'll call that ABN. Always be networking.
Always be nurturing, right?
Or nurturing. I mean, no, that is a great habit, right? Your net worth is your network. And, the more people you know or could connect is freaking great. It was awesome to connect you with that guy. His name was Mike. Maybe it'll lead to something. Maybe it won't.
Another good saying that we've all probably heard a long time ago, years and years and years ago, is, and I don't even remember where I heard it or read it, but, you do get lucky in life on a lot of things. We all know that. But, there's that old saying, you want more luck, work harder. Well, that's a good fucking habit.
Yeah, but there's a lot of guys who bust their ass that don't make money. So.
Well, I'm going to get back to my dad. My dad, one of the hardest workers I've ever known in my life. He was a true worker. Should have been a fucking farmer. That's how hard he worked, right? Sun up to sundown, always fucking worked. But he didn't. He never worked smart. He was the dumbest, hardest worker I've ever met in my life, which taught me how not to be like my dad. So my dad taught me a lot of things, and I did the opposite of him. He would climb up and down, being an electrician. He would climb up and down the ladder 25 fucking times. Fuck that. He's exhausted, right? I want to climb up the ladder one time, which means I have to have a tow tray, which means I have the right tools, which means I have to have the right material. One fucking time I want to crawl up and down. He would go out to the fucking truck 20 times. Fuck that. Get fucking a cart with wheels and have everything. Go out to the truck one time. So, I know too many fucking guys that work fucking hard. Well, they don't work smart, right? Work smart. Self-analyze at the end of the day, right? Why do some days that you accomplish a lot and some days you don't accomplish, very much, right? And it's because you got to get organized. You have to do things in a systematic way. It has to be repeatable. So those are good habits, right? Come up with systems. Repeat everything. Don't reinvent the wheel every time, right? Get guys to do things structurally and sequentially.
I think that also your dad, I'm thinking, my folks, right, always work 60 hours a week, like super, super hard workers, but come to the end of their life, like they have absolutely nothing, negative net worth. But they worked hard. So working hard does not equate to money in your pocket when you're 70 years old. So that goes back to like the rule, live on less than you make. I think at a bare minimum, you should be setting aside 10% of everything you make, not counting investing back in your business. My opinion, you should always be investing back in your business, putting 10, 20% plus.
So that's kind of an interesting argument to where this would be good to have a cocktail over this and smoke a cigar. Two of the things that I know you like to do, Shane, smoking and drinking, is when you're starting out, right? Do I take 10 or 15% invested in the stock market, or I take 10 or 15% invested in my company, right?
There are different seasons, right? In life.
Well, right. So I think that there's, again, I think there's, when can you take money and take it out of cash flow and put it and invest it, right? I can remember those arguments and talking to smart people 40, 50 years ago, right? About when do I do that? When don't I do it, right? And I think there's a good argument of when you do it, when you don't do it, which is, again,
Yeah. I don't know what happened to your volume, but that goes back to something you said earlier today. You said, keep it small, keep it all, and viciously keep your overhead low, which is investing in your business, keeping debt down, not overbuying.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I can tell you this. I got fucked for $2 million December 18th, 1989. Had 120 electricians working for me. I worked for the 23rd biggest building in the United States. And anybody that's old, like me, will remember that in 89 and 90, 91, at that point, was the biggest recession in the United States, worse than the Great Depression. So the guy went bankrupt, screwed everybody. And I went from 120 guys. I took Jordan Pedro and I started my landscape lighting company January 1st, 1990. And that's when I came up with that. I really should have had it tattooed on me. Keep it all, keep it small, right? Got rid of all my overhead, got rid of all the staff, got rid of the fucking expensive rent, right? Worked out of my house, right? And man, it was nice. You talk about not having to have a big nut every month. Man, was that nice. I could go out and do limited amount of jobs with no payroll, technically, right? Because every job I did, right, was self-funding, if you will, because I worked for homeowners and always got fucking paid, right? Didn't have cash flow problems because you're doing commercial work. You got to you never get paid, right? They're always in front of you technically, and there's a strategy behind that. But they have billing cycles, and you got to bill once a month, and you got to get sign-offs, and oh fuck, there's a whole bunch of shit you got to do. But yeah, keep it all, keep it small, man. I mean, that's what I love about landscape lighting. For those out there listening, you can keep your overhead to the lowest extent of anything I've ever seen in my life, right? Because you don't need a big warehouse. You don't need a big staff. You don't need a lot of trucks and equipment, right? So, man, is that a blessing, man? Keep the overhead down.
Yeah, I'll talk about two other habits I have, which I think guys can get value out of. One is goes back to writing. I journal, but I use an app. It's more of like a guided journal. So it's like, what I'm dealing with, or what did I learn today, or who am I grateful for? And it's more than that, because then it asks, like, how do you apply this to your business? How do you apply this to your life, right? So it's not just getting thoughts out, it's getting those thoughts out and then diving deep into them to then apply them to something that I can use today or the next day on. So that is super transformative, doing that and doing the look back, right? Of so I'm going through, what did I do? How did I handle it? What can I learn from it so that I can apply it? Another thing I do is I read. I have a business book, and whether that's about taxes or money, there's a subject I'm reading. And I also read a fun book, right? So I'm always reading two books. One is for business and stuff, and one is for my mind and being entertained. And I find doing that super valuable.
So I have another habit. That one, and I'll go back. I did this at Unique Lighting, right? Over 100 employees, and certainly there was 50 under a roof, and anywhere from guys wanting a transformer to a production, plant manager to a general manager to HR. I made everybody have a little notebook, right? A small little notebook, 2x4, something that fit in your pocket. And I would fine you $25. HR loved me. I would fine you $25 if you didn't have a fucking notebook on you. And I don't want you fucking bring out your iPhone. I don't want any of that bullshit, because everybody should at some point in the day have a thought, right? The guys winding my transformer should have a thought about how you can become more efficient, because how many steps are taken because they don't have the right bin, right? They don't even have enough material in the bin because maybe I set the line up and I don't realize that we need 200 doodads and I got 100 in the bin, and they have to go to the fucking supply area in the warehouse and bring more doodads out. So every single person in that company should be making notes, right? And then I would reward them. You come up with a good idea, you get financially rewarded, right? So, so whether it be sales guys, people, workers, anything, and then we take that into what we do in landscape lighting, right? I want good ideas. How do we become more efficient? How do we get the shovel? How do we trench more, right? So I think everybody should have notepads in them.
Speaking of efficiency, Shane has to go. He's got to go start that big, huge commercial job. He's got to go jump in his Cybertruck and not drive, and I guess make a bunch of calls if he wasn't lying on his habits. So
I should have on a notebook everything that I need to do while driving.
There you go. All right, guys, this has been the Lighting Trade School podcast with Captain Matt, Shane Glow Daddy Duffy, and of course Nate the Illuminator Mullen. Go make some damn money. Hope you all have a great week. We'll talk to you later.
Hey, and remember, we got that seminar coming up at the end of February. I think it's February 24th, 5th, and 6th, and make sure you jot that in your calendar. There will be limited spaces. So make sure we hopefully see you back in February 2026.
Hell yeah. All right.
Heck yeah.